I need to know where you came from.
So do I. What the hell?
We need you.
Howdy, and welcome to the Damian and Devlin Show, and this is our review of Cowboys and Aliens, the 2011 action-adventure that was directed by Jon Favreau and starring Daniel Craig, Harrison Ford, Clancy Brown, Olivia Wilde, and Sam Rockwell, to name a few, because there's a lot of people in this cast. This is part of our Fan Appreciation Month, and we were suggested to watch this by a lady by the name of Terrie. And thank you, Terrie, for sending in this request and being a regular viewer. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
All right. What can I say about this movie? This movie...
Well, I can say something about this movie. It sucks. This movie sucked.
But we still thank you, Terrie.
Yeah.
And
or do we? Was this serious? Was this just a... Oh, I want to see how they react to this masterpiece of crap.
A little background on the movie. This was supposed to be one of the big surprise hits of the summer of 2011. And Jon Favreau has a pretty good track record. He's done Iron Man 2, The Jungle Book, lots of pretty good movies. But this was the one movie in his library so far that really didn't hold up. Even though you have producers like Ron Howard in there, Brian Grazer, lots of great potential in here, it turned out to be a box office dud. And this is one of those cases that I kind of have to agree with Damian on this. I think I did see some good stuff in here, but unfortunately, I saw a lot of bad stuff too. So what's your first initial take on... Well, I think you already
said it sucks. At first I was thinking, okay, this movie's kind of boring. And then as it went along, I said, okay, this movie is not making sense now. And then at the real end of it, I was like, why do I care? I don't care about what happens to these people.
That's never a good sign.
No, it's never a good sign.
No, we were actually sitting there by the end of the movie not realizing that. I think we only knew one character's name.
Daniel Craig's character's name, Jake. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It was interesting. I think there's a lot of potential, as I said, in this movie. I think they had an idea, but I think this goes off on so many tangents, and just they try to add so many characters in it, and it's like they haven't even developed the main characters, and they're adding more. And, well, we'll get into all the negatives after, but Damian, was there any positives for you in this movie?
I had a small amount of positives. One, I liked the costumes. The costumes were pretty good. They were accurate. I mean, to give you some background on it, it's basically a movie set in cowboy times, the Wild West, and aliens are involved. I'm not going to tell you why, because I don't know why, but they're there. Well, I do know why, and I think it's a pretty stupid idea as to why they're there, but aliens are involved. So the costumes, they're, I guess, like the 1800s, the Race to the West. It was pretty accurate. I like those. The music by Harry Gregson-Williams. I liked the music. Harry Gregson-Williams is a very big composer for movies. He's come along over the last few years. He even does some soundtracks to some video games that I like the Metal Gear Solid series, things like that. So my hat is off to him, and I know I just ruined up my wardrobe and my hairdo, but that's all right. What else do I have to say about this movie? Olivia Wilde's hot.
That's your positives?
That's my positives.
I'll see if I can get some more out of this. First of all, Jon Favreau, he actually has some beautiful moments in this. It's still a beautiful looking film. It's just he didn't really have a script. I don't know if the script was being written as they were going. I think it's based on either a graphic novel or a novel. I did not do my homework on it, and so I apologize. But I think there's lots of potential, as I said. But I think Jon Favreau actually has some You can tell he's a phenomenal director. This may not be a standout movie, but there are times that I was like, yeah, that's a great shot. That's a good shot. He knows what he's doing.
No,
it's
just because Daniel Craig had some tight pants does not constitute a great shot.
For me, a little bit. Anyhow, Daniel Craig, that's a positive for me.
Yeah, he's all right.
Daniel Craig acted the hell out of this movie. I think I think he was the best part of this movie. Because I found this was not just separated by cowboys and aliens. It was actors who wanted to be there and actors who didn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay?
That's true.
To me, Daniel Craig played like a Clint Eastwood type from the old spaghetti westerns. He didn't, man of little words. But I think he did a good job. He was still just new off of Bond, so he knew he still had to do some acting. Clancy Brown did well, and a couple of lesser-known people actually felt like they were trying to be in a Western. So I'll give a plus to that.
And then you had Harrison Ford, who kind of just wandered onto the set, and they gave him a cowboy hat.
Well, I'll get to that, my negatives. But also some of the production, the set pieces, the locations, I thought were pretty good. I've seen better in Westerns. But overall, I actually thought whoever did the production value and it did the production design, some really nice touches, and that goes along with the costumes. As I said, I've seen more authentic stuff in other movies, but I think it also helps when you have a full cast we're all doing a Western. And I didn't get that from the cast. But again, I'm veering into my negatives. I did like the soundtrack. I wish they used it a little bit more. It just came in once in a blue moon, and I think that was a mistake because, sometimes I don't want too much, but in this movie, there's so much traveling and stuff. I wish we could have heard more of that wonderful score because we just get it in snippets and stuff. And sadly, I think that's pretty much all my positives.
There's going to be a moment where I touch on the traveling because there's this one
we're in our negatives now.
And, oh, yeah, we're deep in the negatives, just like we're deep in the quest for gold in the Wild West. We have a moment in the movie, speaking of traveling, where Daniel Craig's character leaves the main group to go find another group. And it's like he just kind of walks around the corner and finds them. So we're touching on plot holes here. Huge. So he walks around a corner and suddenly seemingly finds them. There's no evidence of him tracking them down. He just, oh, there you guys are. Hey. And then he makes a mention, oh, it took me a while to track you guys down. It took 5 minutes, and then here he comes back again with the group. What? Plot hole? Here's the biggest plot hole.
There's lots.
Of the movie. Olivia Wilde's character. Just, who is she? What is she? How did this happen? I can't even say what happened because it's a major spoiler, but when you get to this movie, you get to this particular part with her character, you're going to be like, what?
And it's script written to almost help us fill in plots for later on, and it's just too convenient.
She basically knows nothing at the beginning of the film, and then suddenly she knows everything, and defies logic. Basically she Jesus Christs herself. What is going on with this movie? I don't understand how this happened. What is she? Nobody questions her on this. Nobody acts like it's out of the blue. I just couldn't stand it. As well, there was a point in the movie where, a large portion of the script is them hunting down a single alien. Where did this single alien come from? Because Daniel Craig's character shoots an alien ship down. They're looking at this alien ship. Nothing climbs out of it. Okay? Nothing climbs out of it. We're constantly seeing it. Him and Harrison Ford go up to investigate it, and then suddenly the alien that's supposedly driving this thing is in a house over here.
Yeah, no visible way of getting in. He didn't break down the door. It's was he invited in or something?
What is going on? And then to top it off, so plot holes aside, because I think you could fill the Grand Canyon with the plot holes in this movie. Forgettable characters left, right, and center. Like we said, all we knew was Daniel Craig's character's name, Jake. I don't know Harrison Ford's character's name. I know his son's name because that's all he kept saying for 5 minutes. Percy!
That's right. We didn't know Percy.
Where's Percy? I need to find my boy Percy! Like, for 5 minutes, so of course it's going to get drilled into our skulls. But that's it. I don't know anybody's name. I don't have any connection to these characters. There was no development whatsoever. And in fact, there was one character with glasses. They kept calling him Doc. I don't even know his name because they referred to him by his real name quite a bit. Oh, what a horrible character. What's the actor's name?
Sam Rockwell.
Because he's terrible.
He's a good actor.
Not
He's
with
just...
my first experience of him. He's terrible. I said to you like 20 minutes in, I was like, this guy sucks.
Yeah, no, he just won the Oscar for 3 Billboards in Ebbing, Missouri, and deserved it.
Yeah.
He's a really good actor.
Yeah, well...
Just no, I agree with you. Not in this movie.
No.
He doesn't, I don't know what he's doing. He comes off as one of those when you go to an Old West show and he's playing the part of somebody in the Old West.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You know, he's giving it a try, but it's like it's his first day or something.
Oh, it was bad, let me tell you what. The script makes no sense. The characters are forgettable. And like you said, it's basically, it should be called actors that wanted to be there versus actors that didn't want to be there. It had a good premise. It had a good potential to be something great.
Lots.
We were talking there were 2 things that I came up with that could have been better movies by default. One, 30 Days of Night style, where you have these cowboys with their limited technology and communication, and the aliens come and start picking them off in their town one by one. Or 2, you make it like the Predators movie, where you take these cowboys and the aliens take them to like a game planet and start hunting them down for sport. That would have been so much of a better movie. Like, both premises would have been a better movie rather than this, whatever it was. And don't even get me started on the CGI of those damn aliens either. The CGI on it was absolute garbage. Just like this whole movie. Garbage.
You done?
I'm so heated I threw my hat.
Well, my negatives are probably similar to Damian's. I think they tried to make this like a Old West Independence Day, but Independence Day was goofy.
Hold on.
But there,
you
what?
actually said something in the movie when we were talking about it. Yeah, this movie's kind of trying to be like an Old West Independence Day, but it forgot the one word that made Independence Day good, and that was it being fun.
It was. I remember Independence Day came out in a summer where the movies were so dark. And I remember going to this movie thinking it's going to be dark, but there was so much laughs and good times. Every joke in this movie, and there's not many, but they try to land a few. None of the jokes land.
I laughed at Harrison Ford's racism most of the time rather than the jokes that they were trying to portray.
Yeah, it was weird. And going to the acting... Okay, I already said I thought Daniel Craig and Clancy Brown were trying something. Harrison Ford looked like, where's my paycheck? There's one part where he's being ornery and he's just looking at the guy like, you're like... And I said, I actually think that's how Harrison Ford would be. Like meeting somebody for the first time. Like, who's this guy? I don't care. Give me my paycheck. And Sam Rockwell, I have seen him in so much more where he's... And this, I don't know, he just, as I said, I've dealt with Sam Rockwell. Olivia Wilde, I think, again, she looks good, but...
Yeah, she does.
But again, I think the biggest problem is the script. They try so desperately to pull off an old-style Western where we're all going to do the hunt and do the tracking. But the problem is number one, they hit some of the tropes of an Old West thing. But the problem I have with a lot of modern-day Westerns is what makes those old Westerns good, and this is going to be an old-school offensive, you can't do politically correct Westerns. They weren't politically correct back then. And when you watch those old John Wayne ones, they're bad. But it's hard to actually pull off when there was a time where people were rude and mean and evil. Well, I'm guessing I'm not that old. I wasn't back there. But it's hard to pull that off. So I have a lot of trouble. And I've only seen a couple Westerns who have managed to do it with grace. This is not one of them. I wanted to love the aliens, but they had this weird little thing that I think they wanted to copy the exomorphs. Exomorphs. I love that. I'll be hearing that for a long time. But they had them, but instead of like doing like Jaws, they like literally had their stomachs open and these little weird little like T-Rex hands coming out like, oh no. And I don't think it was as scary. And I kept thinking, what do they look like to me? What do they look to me? And then when they actually showed them in the sun, I couldn't stop thinking of the giant grasshopper in A Bug's Life, and it was kind of hard to take them serious.
Oh my gosh,
after that.
it looks like the grasshopper
It's
from
like
A Bug's
they
Life.
came to life, but I think the Pixar Bugs grasshoppers would actually probably look more realistic.
No, that thing was way more menacing than these aliens were.
The sad thing about this is I told Damian when we were getting ready to watch this, I actually remember seeing it in a theater. But I couldn't, except for Daniel Craig and Harrison Ford being in it, I could not remember anything. Now, you know me, I've seen bad movies, I've seen great movies, I always remember the movies. I get nervous when there's a movie that's only less than 10 years old and I can't remember anything. All I know is I can leave it with lots of potential here, but a lot of just bad choices, and this is a beautiful thing to show to filmmakers, like student filmmakers.
Don't do this.
Your script, you got to make sure the characters are in order, that you have a script, and the way they solve some of the problems in this is just like ridiculous. We need somebody there. Okay, we'll just put them there. We don't have any information about them. Oh, here's a convenient plot twist. We suddenly now know everything about them. And it's so sloppy writing. Like I said, honestly, this is a movie that should be taught to say, watch these kind of things in movies, and like whether it's these people know they're in a Western, these don't. You know, you got to have it all in sync, and this movie, that's a perfect way. It was never in sync. Like nothing seemed in sync, but it seemed like some people were trying, others just weren't.
And you know the worst thing about this whole movie is that there is a perfect opportunity to show full-on nude Olivia Wilde.
Oh my God.
And we see nothing.
Wow.
We don't even get a nice booty shot. We don't get full frontal. We get nothing.
Wow.
And that just really drove me nuts.
Remember I was talking about how you can't do a Western without politically correctness? I'm not saying you would have saw it in a John Wayne movie, but this was politically incorrect. But I see what he's saying. I don't know who they made this movie for. I don't see people who like Westerns going out to say, this is awesome! And I don't see people who like alien science fiction movies who want to sit and watch the Old West. So, very hard one. Maybe they could have pulled it off in a series, but way too many characters to start with.
Yeah, no.
Anyhow. Good dog acting.
Yeah, there's a dog in it.
You know what? I keep going back and forth, but I'm going to have to give it. And this is mostly on potential and the fact that I think Jon Favreau did have some good filming shots. And I did actually like what Daniel Craig do. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5.
I did like what Daniel Craig do. That's what he just... I did like what Daniel Craig do.
And now nobody heard my number.
He gave it a 5.
No, I did not. I think this is actually too high for this movie. So, John, if you're watching us, you send me a thank you note, because I'm not giving it a success, but I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. And that's being very generous, but that's to the potential this movie had.
No. I was give it a 2 until they robbed me of Olivia Wilde's body.
Are you going there again?
I'm just joking. No, but in all seriousness, I was bordering on 2 for a long time. Like I said, the first half an hour of it, in my head, I was like, this is boring. I don't really care. I'm not too excited about this. And then as it got on, it got progressively worse. This gets a 1. This gets a single point for the music and the costumes, and that's about it. Nothing. I would not recommend this movie to anybody. Like, don't watch this movie, and if you do, I hope you tear it apart as much as I do.
What does get a 5 is Terrie and all you other fans who have sent us so many wonderful things. It's too bad we only have 1 week to go on this, but don't stop sending ideas.
We're still choosing.
Because you might send a movie that intrigues us that maybe we might throw it in on a non-fan month because we are listening to you, and to be honest with you, I'm having a lot of fun with these. Even a movie like Cowboy and Aliens, it's challenging to watch this. And Terrie, we do thank you for it. And I know you're having a good giggle right now because you're probably loving this review that we're scathing it and saying, I made them sit through that.
Yeah, you did. So,
and I'm going to be talking to you if you love this movie. We're going to have a chat, I think.
Please unsubscribe. Don't unsubscribe.
Don't ever do that.
But thank you so much for suggesting this. One more shout out I want to do. Thank you so much to a new fan of ours is actually doing our graphics for these videos as well as on our Facebook page, Edward. So thank you very much, Edward. Your hard work is very appreciated and they look fantastic. So thank you very much. As that links in the comments below for our Facebook, Twitter, as well as on Fridays. Now you get our podcast. So you have us pretty much any way that you want us. Keep those suggestions rolling. Tune in next week for the last edition of Fan Appreciation Month because you never know, could throw a surprise or two your way. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time.